maybe there can be an arrangement where COA can come in through DepEd and look at the expenditures and how the funds are being allocated. No? I share the sentiment of Senator Tulfo. This will be left hanging. No? I know there's a special provision to address this temporarily, but it will be left hanging. No? So we need to address this in order to have clarity and in order to also to settle this issue. And my opinion is, since DepEd performs both roles, DepEd is in the best position to address this issue. No? I read the opinion. It's really quite kasi nakasulat dito, neither a corporate or government entity. No? So it's really neither here or neither there. No? So in other words, it's only DepEd can address this through your MOA. If your MOA will specify that part of the requirement is to audit the books, part of the requirements is to submit documents, then so be it. That's the principal's prerogative as the principal. So I would like to recommend that to DepEd to take a look, because or else this will be hanging and it will not go away. No. So that's the recommendation of the chair to DepEd, and you can get back to us as to what will be your opinion on that recommendation. So we'll call on Attorney Tara and then Ms. Ferrer, and then Senator Tulfo will continue his interpellation.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, with regard to the MOA that we have issued for school year 2023-2024, we have stated there the liquidation responsibility of PAC, which is number one of the in-service training that we give to them, the 104 million for the training of the private school teachers. However, I think because of the claim nga po ng PAC, no, that they are a private entity, the 100 million management fee, that we could not ask them to be audited. So doon lang po tayo siguro talaga nagkakaroon ng parang concern, no? Pero as far as the money that the DepEd provides for the training of the teachers, they're able to liquidate po, Mr. Chair.
The one paying the 100 million, eh? Correct?
Correct.
So you're the principal in this case, diba?
Yes.
And under the law, you can also subcontract, no, or engage a third party. So it's
That's
your
right.
call. Eh. It's your call really whether to engage PAC or not to engage PAC or to engage somebody else.
That's right.
Diba?
That's right,
So,
Mr. Chair.
but in this case, you find PAC efficient and because they've been doing this for a very long time, that's fine. It's just the issue of whether public funds are being audited or not, and the issue of whether PAC can be audited or not. No? So, but since DepEd sits at the board, ang unique dito, siya rin yung chairman eh. That's the unique case here. So DepEd can actually allow, as a matter of policy within PAC, allow COA or whoever to audit or submit to you an audit report from another party, no? Which I believe there is. No? There's a third-party auditor that PAC contracts and sinasabit sa DepEd, correct? Nakikita niyo ba itong
That is
itong audit
the
report?
document na hindi po ako privy, Senator, because I'm from the Government Assistance and Subsidies Office. So it's
But who
actually
sits the chairman, si
VP,
secretary, correct? But who sits on her behalf?
si Undersecretary Omar Romero, who is our Legal and Legislative Affairs Undersecretary.
And
po.
nagsasubmit siya nakukuha niya yung mga audit report from PAC?
I think po, Mr. Chair, I cannot speak for him po.
Okay.
But
Well, I think just bring this up to Yusek Omar.
I will, Mr. Chair.
We want to settle this issue. Again, it will be left hanging.
Yes.
And I
that's
believe
right.
that DepEd, being the chairman, has the authority to settle this issue. No?
Yes,
Right.
Mr. Chair. We will take note of that and will raise po. Thank you.
Senator Gatchalian, just to add, no, there is an audited report every year. Isa Lipana is our auditor. We submit the report to all government entities which work with us, Deped, and even the Office of the President receives a copy of the annual report and the audited financial statement. The U.S. government, which donated the fund, also gets the audited financial statement. So the contention of COA that they want to fully audit the Fund for Assistance to Private Education, to us is really problematic, because what can be audited are the Deped funds that are downloaded to us for very specific programs such as inset and research, and for services that we are rendering for the GASP. In other words, yung Fund for Assistance to Private Education, think of it, if it becomes a public fund, how can COCOPEA and CAP and PACU get support from the Fund for Assistance to Private Education? So these are really two different matters. In other words, in the event that PAC will not co-implement GASP anymore, then we will be living, peacefully without GASP implementation, because we actually existed for that purpose, to be the trustee of a fund that will assist private education.
Thank you for that, Ms. Pereira. Ms. Caballas, would you like to add something?
Again, we have to clarify po, no? Hindi po namin pinatatanggal si PEAC. So, wala po yung sinasabi na kung mawawala si PEAC, paano na yung GASP? No, wala po. Kasi talaga naman pwede mag-contract po services. Okay po yun. Di namin kine-question po si PEAC na dapat hindi na mag-contract. Ang pinano po namin yung proseso. And as mentioned po ni Ma'am Rodora, they are submitting financial statements to DepEd. But yung financial statements po, hindi po nakakaabot din sa COA. So, kung nagli-liquidate sila, so, kung attachment po yun as supporting document, dapat po, nabibigyan din po si COA ng financial statements ng private entity. So, magiging source din po ng COA yun during their audit na meron financial statement si PEAC. So, yung pong binabayad ni DepEd kahit pa paano, nakikita po doon sa financial statements. Yun po. So, yung sinasabi ni Ma'am Rodora na kung mawawala si PEAC, wala po kami sinasabi na mawawala po si PEAC. And again, yung performance sabi po namin is malaki pong tulong. But again, we are requiring the process. Yung talagang paano po yung proseso sa government sa government side, kung ano po yung ino-audit ng COA. So yun lang po, Senator and Mr. Chair.
Ms. Ferrer, sabi po ni Ms. Caballas, to make it short, nagsasabit pala kayo ng financial statement, PEAC sa DepEd, pero yung attachment na yun, hindi na nakarating sa COA na ma-minus na. Yun po yung pinupoint out ngayon ng COA. So is it possible na yung financial statement from now on mula sa PEAC na-attach dun sa DepEd, pag sinasabit nyo sa DepEd, makakakuha ng kopya ang COA?
Yes, Senator Tulfo. I'm actually checking now if we gave an annual report with the audited financial statement to COA. If we did not give them, then we'll give them a copy.
And then mas gusto ko sana na mga taga-gobyerno hindi nagkakasundo, dapat magkasundo, di ba? Dapat yung COA at lahat ng government agencies magkasundo, di ba? Kasi sabi nga ni Senator Ruin, ang COA kasi mandated ng batas natin na mag-audit ng mga funds coming from the government. Kumbaga sa kaban ng bayan, sila po ang na-entrust para to see to it na transparent at maayos yung pagkagastos sa pera ng kaban ng bayan. Yun po yung pinupoint out kay ni Senator Gatchalian na umag naman yung COA. So yun lang siguro, it's a matter of communication, pero matagal na sila nakipag-communicate ata sa DepEd since 2018, pero time and time again, it seems na hindi nagkakasundo ang DepEd sa COA sa issue na yan. Tama, COA?
Sa ngayon po alam ko kasi since po yung mga transition po nagbabago din, no? So yun po yung nagiging problema. But when we audited the GASP po, wala po kaming nakitang financial statements yun po.
Walang financial statement. Okay. At magkakaroon na rin po, sabi nila they will comply na, yung attachment daw isasama na.
Thank you, Senator Tulfo and Mr. Chair. Nandito po yung aming COA auditor, so hahanapin na po niya ngayon yung every time na magli-liquidate po si PEAC. At saka po every year end, so makikita na po nila.
Ayun. So, we will take your word for it, Ms. Ferrer. Thank you very much. Thank you po.
If COA, you may continue. I think
Ayun, apologies po. Medyo naging mainit yung discussion because of that first finding that we presented. Well, continue na lang po namin. So, another po is yung as to the na-mention po dun sa Senate resolution na yung ESC grantees being absent and their existence cannot be satisfactorily explained, and also ESC grantees being double listed under the ESC program. During our performance audit po of the GASP program in 2018, so yan, nag-sample po kasi kami ng mga sample beneficiaries, and on our audit, wala kaming na-note na ghost beneficiaries. So, for the specific audit, so yung mga nasample naman po namin when we look sa mga schools na nakita naman namin physically yung mga estudyante na beneficiaries po ng ESC and even senior high school voucher program. Pero in the event po na yung nasample namin ay hindi present during that time, nanghihingi kami ng supporting documents na sinubmit ng mga estudyante during their application doon sa mga GASP program po, ESC or senior high school voucher program. Also, yun nga po, yung even our IT auditor, yun, minanote po siya na mga 1,456 learners with more than one ESC ID, and which was billed in the same school year for all of the ESC ID po na include dun sa system. So this resulted to double billings from 2012 to 2017 it amounted to 4.8 million po. For the senior high school voucher program naman, same naman din po. So learners po with multiple LRNs or learner reference number, it amounted to 6.5 million during 2012 to 2017. Tapos another whereas clause here is about the performance indicators, the inadequacy and the suitability of the performance indicator in order to assess the level of success of the program. So as mentioned in the performance audit report, so we identified that the performance indicators are inadequate and unsuitable because yung nare-report lang po ng DepEd is as the number of grantees of the ESC or even the senior high school voucher program in the TSS. But based on the objective po of the GASP program, di ba po, the congestion po of the public school. So yun, so wala lang din po kaming nakitang performance indicator for the DepEd to assess whether the GASP program contributed really into the congestion of the public schools in the Philippines. Another one is...
Makasingit po. So what you're saying, Mr. Liave, wala pa kayo natatanggap up to now ng data kung talagang nakaka-contribute yung performance ng GASP.
Ayun po, hindi naman po namin dinidiscount na parang walang na-i-contribute yung GASP program as to the decongestions. But yun, since even in their performance indicator, in the absence of that, for them, even for, kahit sa kanila lang po yung gagamitin nila for them to identify if it really contributed to the decongestion of the public schools.
Yeah, kasi yun ang purpose, yun ang purpose ng GASP na
yes,
para ma-decongest.
Pero for now po, wala po kaming data na nakuha.
But is it necessary for them to submit those data sa inyong palagay?
Yes po, para even for them for their decision making, so they will be able to identify if the GASP program really helped in the decongestion and the attainment of the GASP program objectives and goals.
Okay, ASEC Bringas, narinig po yung sinabi ng COA. Is it possible na from now on, mag-submit po kayo ng data para mapakita na talagang yung purpose ng GASP para ma-decongest yung public schools at mailipat yung mga estudyante, yung mga qualified sa private state universities na may kasamang subsidies. Ano pong reaction niyo doon, Mr. Bringas?
Yes, we will do
ASEC
that.
Bringas.
We will do that, Senator. We will annually submit the impact of the GASP program to the to the primary objective, that is a decongestion of the public
Thank
schools.
you. So
We
from
will
now
submit
on,
the report.
you will do that. Okay, Mr. Yabi, how's that? From now on, they will submit na raw.
Another finding that we have raised in our performance audit report is that ESC slots have not been based on the pattern of congestion in the public schools. So as such, classroom decongestion may not be measured because target decongestion level was not defined or established. Kasi Pero in the early years po kasi ng ESC program, we noted na DepEd considers in their policy making that they have this data on the ano bang tawag doon? The congestion of the public schools and the nearby private schools and identify yung excess capacity to determine the slot allocation. But the current allocation of ESC slots now is not based on the pattern of congestion in the public schools. So there may be areas where ESC participating private schools is close to at least one public schools with excess students. Pero yun po, the DepEd has not been tracking the excess capacity in private schools and the number of excess or overflow students in the congested public schools. So, yun po. Unfortunately, there's no algorithmic procedure that DepEd and PEA could use to link this data to the ESC slot allocation. Kasi based sa current ESC slot allocation, parang meron lang fixed slot allocation na 50, tapos depende sa certification level ng schools kung merong bibigay na additional or incentive slots to them yearly. So yun po.
Okay, pwede makasingit?
Dahil
paano po nadidetermina kung qualified ba o hindi para mapasok sa GASP program ang isang mga estudyante? Kasi according sa COA, gusto na malaman kung talagang underprivileged ba yung talagang mga recipients. COA has not been informed about that, kaya nga kanina pa palaging marami sinasabi yung COA, meaning may contact issues ang COA tungkol sa GASP na ito. What is your stand, Attorney?
Ayun po, another issue naman po yung mga beneficiaries that we identified na hindi naman belong to the underprivileged sector. Pero as to the eligibility of the ESC, maybe I can refer you to the DepEd na lang po mismo.
So meron po kayo na plug down ng mga recipient na hindi naman underprivileged family?
Yes po, we have quantified po. Pero with the assumption po kasi na yung mga, kasi di ba po, yung mga graduating elementary schools will be parang isa subsidized through ESC for them to enroll in a private junior high school.
So meron kayo na plug ng mga estudyante na hindi dapat makatanggap sapagkat they don't belong to that underprivileged class?
Hindi, ayun nga po. Ang assumption po kasi namin, yung mga estudyante coming from the private elementary schools have the capacity and the ability to pay yung tuition nila and will not need the ESC or the ESC financial assistance. So yun po yung in-identify namin, yung mga private elementary school graduates that receive ESC allocation or ESC ay nag-benefit doon sa ESC program, somewhat parang hindi belonging to the underprivileged yet they receive the financial assistance from DepEd through ESC. Same with the senior high school voucher program.
Okay, so since sila ay nasa private school na, that means they can afford and they're not supposed to be underprivileged coming from the poorest of the poor, so to speak. And yet, nakaka-receive pa rin sila ng benefits mula sa ESC program.
Yes po. Pero kasi po, ang ano po kasi ng DepEd, preference lang daw po, yung tineterm kasi nila na underprivileged yung magiging beneficiaries ng GASP program, not really requiring yung mga schools na yung ipa-priority will be underprivileged mga students po. That's why in their eligibility criteria, wala ding parang criterion for the level of income of the family.
Okay.
So yun.
So as ASEC bring us, siguro tama yung tanong para sa iyo, itong concern ni Mr. Llave. Paano niyo ba na-identify whether or not ito pong mga nakatanggap ng subsidy ay qualified o hindi?
Sige po. Okay, Mr. Chair, Mr. Senator, balikan ko lang po para proper context din po, no, yung RA 8545 states like the preference lang po of underprivileged. So with that, hindi naman po talaga sinabi na only underprivileged po, preference po. So in the ESC po, this is from the subsidy that we give for junior high school. Pag kayo po ay isang learner from the public elementary, grade 6, and then you will be promoted to grade 7. Pag galing po kayo ng public school, automatic na po na pasok po kayo doon as ESC grantee. For all others po, sa ating guidelines, current guidelines natin, sir, meron po tayong tinatawag na school committee. The school committee is composed of the school head, principal, and then parang parent association po sa school. And then they will be the ones to check po kung ano po yung, if that person is okay ba ito sa financial capacity within the private school.
So, yun yung ba income base ng household? Para malaman kung qualified ba siya?
Opo.
Yung estudyante?
Well, to be talaga with this Senator Raffy, I have not yet gone to the school committee talaga na to check how they anong tawag doon, they evaluate the students. But I think, of course, finances po ang isa sa mga criteria po doon.
So meron ba kayong siniset na how much dapat yung halimbawa ang bracket is nasa income mo below 15,000 para ma-qualify ka, pero kung umabot ka ng 20,000 above hindi ka na dapat qualified kasi can't afford ka na, things like that. Walang ganong.
Wala po tayong ganon as of now,
So
Senator.
preference lang.
Preference lang po talaga. And there's no set amount.
Pero don't you think dapat meron na para maging malinaw?
Yes po, Mr.
Hindi ng
Senator.
transparency?
In fact po,
Kasi maraming mga talagang mahirap na mga estudyante deserving sa kanila na kailangan na ng support sa ating gobyerno na para mapunta sa private school, para mas ma-enhance yung kanilang learning, yung kanilang skills, etc. etc.
Yes
So
po.
dapat sinasara talaga. Kasi yung mga nasa private schools na can afford na sila, especially kung sa grade 1 private school, nilagay na sa private school yung kanilang anak, can afford na talaga sila. Kung
correct
tutuusin.
po. Correct po, Mr. Senator. That's why po, in aid of legislation, this was also mentioned or discussed in CBEC po, Mr. Chair, that they, in the latest draft po ng kanilang House Bill, linagay na po nila dito yung parang criteria sa the family should be part of based on Philippine Statistics Authority na lower level income class, linagay na po dito sa amending the 8545 din
Pero
po.
pwede ako mag-suggest, instead na kayo po ay mag-subsidize ng mga estudyante sa private school para umakyat sila sa junior high, bakit hindi na lang po mula sa mga public schools? Mag-concentrate na tayo lahat sa mga public schools.
Sa publics, what do you mean, sir?
Kasi di
Because
ba ngayon, sabi mo, meron kayong subsidies dun sa mga estudyante sa private schools, di ba?
That's
Nagbibigay
right.
ka ng subsidies, tulong,
That's right po.
di ba, under this program. So, bakit hindi tayo mag-focus na ng concentrate sa mga estudyante sa public schools? Because itong mga sa public schools, talagang mostly sila ay galing sa mga mahirap na pamilya.
Does that mean po ba, sir? Kasi in the public school naman, sir, we give them free tuition naman po yan. Wala naman po silang binabayaran.
I know,
So,
pero ibig sabihin, yung bang sila ay subsidize yung kanilang paglipat sa private school. Bigyan sila opportunity na matikman man nila ang private school education.
Apo, yan po yun, sir, actually.
Hindi kasi sinabi mo kanina, meron mga estudyante sa private school na umaakyat from grade 7 at papuntang junior high na nakakatanggap
Ano po
ng
yung
subsidies pa rin.
yung kaninang minention ko po, Senator, those are the graduates of public grade 6 na pupunta po sila ng private na grade 7. Sila po yung kasama sa ating mga grantees.
Yun naman talagang purpose niya, di ba?
Opo,
Para sa
opo.
congestion.
Tama
Pero I
po.
think I've heard you kanina na meron yung mga nasa private school na aangat, private school aangat, the same school, na maging junior high sila and they still receive.
That's right po, opo.
Di ba? Kaya yung sinasabi ko na imbis na mag-concentrate kayo doon sa pagbibigay ng grants o tulong sa mga estudyante na nag-start na sa private school, now we know na sila ay nasa can afford level ng family.
Opo.
Doon tayo mag-focus na sa mga public schools na para mabigyan ng opportunity ito mga anak na mahirap na makatikim naman ng private education.
Yes, Senator, I got you po. Sa current naman po natin, mas marami pa po yung ating mga public grade 6 learners na grantees po ng ESC versus those na nasa private po, sir. So mas malaki naman po ang proportion wise, mas madami po yung ating public school learners, completers ng grade 6 who is a beneficiary po. But of course, you will take note of your recommendation then also, sir.
Thank you.
With the permission of Senator Tulfo, just some basic question. What is the objective of the ESC and the voucher? What is the objective? What is the fundamental objective of these two programs? Kasi if you look at the budget, 38 billion goes to these two programs out of the 40. So majority of the GASP budget goes to only two programs, the ESC and the voucher. What is this for?
Mr. Chair, the original intent of the law really for the ESC and the voucher is for excess learners in the public schools to be subsidized for their enrollment in the private schools.
So decongestion.
To decongest
Okay.
the public schools. So dyan lumabas noon yung term na IELTS students.
Correct.
Oo.
Okay.
So we have IELTS students and they are certified by the superintendent, for example, that they can no longer be accommodated in the public schools. Therefore, they are recommended to go to the nearest private school and be a grantee of the subsidy. That's starting the ESC that would be starting with the first year or the
Okay.
grade 7.
Okay, so the objective is to decongest.
Yes, primarily, Mr. Chair. So that when they are enrolled in grade 7 as a grantee, that will continue on until grade 12 for the voucher program.
Okay.
So when they are ESC recipients from grade 7 to grade 10, from the public schools or from the private schools, they are ESC grantees, then they are automatic grantees as well for 11
Okay.
and 12.
Is that the only objective, to decongest? How about equity consideration?
Well, equity consideration, Mr. Chair, meaning pagdating sa senior high school kasi since we have also congestion in the senior high school, kaya meron din tayong senior high school voucher na open for those who are not grantees of the ESC.
Okay, but is equity part of the objective? Meaning we give the poor the priority? Is that part of the objective of ESC and voucher program?
I think that should be the spirit of the law, that we give
But is
subsidy.
that the objective?
It should be. That is why I think in aid of
It is in the law. It's not.
Yeah.
It should be not. It's in the law. It's in RA 8545.
Yeah.
Saan na yung batas? This is where Attorney Tara and I differ in interpretation. Preference shall be given to students whose family income is not more than 72,000 pesos. I would assume this is annual, no? So by this provision, the spirit of the law is already giving priority to the poorest of the poor. And I think it's embedded in all of us, no? We all know that resources are scarce. You know, we all know that during budget season, we all fight for resources. And the meager resources that we get, the allocation should be prioritizing the poor. I think that is already given in all of our policy making activities, in our budgeting, in all of our activities as public officials. Now, the reason why they put preference here, this is semantics. You can say preference lang naman to, hindi naman to mandated. But the mere fact that the law specified that preference should be given to these families, that means we have to address them first. Do we all agree in that, Attorney Tara? Okay, can you respond through the mic?
Yes, of course, Mr. Chair.
I think nagse-semantics tayo na sa preference, hindi naman to mandate. But I think as public servants and as workers of government, and you all know that the resources are scarce, we have to allocate it first to the poor. We agree on that, correct? Is that
Mr.
being
Chair.
addressed right now? And that's in line with Senator Tulfo's question, and that's also in line with the findings of GOA. Are we addressing or are we prioritizing the poor first in our ESC program and also our voucher program?
Yes, Mr. Chair. We are prioritizing.
And do you have a policy that instructs the schools who distributes the ESC to address the poor first?
First is with the ESC, Mr. Chair, we have the automatic grantees who are the completers from grade 6. For the senior high school voucher program, we also have
No, for ESC first. For
for
ESC.
ESC, yes po. For ESC po, automatic naman po yung ating mga learners who are graduates from grade 6 ng public po to become ESC grantees. Automatic po sila.
Yeah, but are these students from poor families?
They're from public schools, sir. They completed from kinder to grade 6.
But pwede rin naman yung private to private, di ba? Sa ESC?
Yes, sir. But those are just the slots na ina-evaluate ng school committee.
Oo nga, but pwede rin na existing private student,
Yes.
private school student, availing the ESC,
Pwede din po,
correct?
Mr. Chair.
But I think is there a policy? Is there a policy to your schools that's saying you have to prioritize the poor first? Unahin niyo muna yung pinakamahirap. Is there a policy coming from DepEd or PAYAC saying that the poor should be prioritized first?
The law is already giving that guideline.
No, yes or no? Is there a policy? Is there guidelines?
For the ESC,
Or did you give the school council, ano yun sa school?
school committee po.
School committee council the freedom to do that, to choose?
May preference pa rin po.
Yeah,
Yes po.
iba na yung preference, iba yung actual eh.
Yes, opo.
Iba yung actual eh. Because our data is showing otherwise.
The categorical statement siguro, Mr. Chair, that only or preference really to the poor in the guidelines, I don't think it is stated there. That's why we also studied all the performance din po ng GASP, and we are
But
actually
is there
drafting.
clear instruction to the schools to prioritize the poor? Yun lang a simple question.
The open. Ano?
Sir, can I get back to you on that? Kasi I have to
Okay, get
refer
back
to
me
the
because I'll show you a slide.
order.
Ito is Senator Tulfo. We got this from Philippine Statistics Authority. And we use the current poverty thresholds right now of 12,000. In 2021-2022, 68% of the ESC grantees come from non-poor families. They come from non-poor families. And I'll give you, and hindi kami nagkakaiba ng COA. In fact, COA mentioned here, ito, nakasulat. I'll read it. For the past 6 school years, DepEd paid approximately 4.7 billion pesos and 10.2 billion pesos to ESC and senior high school VP participating schools respectively. This means that about 14 billion were given to non-poor beneficiaries. Kaya hindi na kami nagkakalayo. And then I'll show you the peso value of those non-poor students in the next slide. So in the next slide, just for 2022 to 2021-22, lumalabas na
The leakage is this one.
4.5.
On the high, the max side, 8 billion pesos went to non-poor. 8.6 billion pesos went to non-poor. On the high, kasi iba-iba yung binibigay na subsidies, di ba? And this is, kasi sa PSA, sa APs, they ask the respondents, ESC grantee ka ba o hindi? Sabi niya, ESC grantee po ako. Anong income level mo? Tinatanungin niya. So you can calculate using PSA. You see? So lumalabas, balik nga sa isang sali, lumalabas, the majority of our ESC grantees are from non-poor families. Because nga, basically, sinabi niyo kasi, Attorney Tara kanina, preference lang naman. Hindi siya mandated. So dahil preference lang naman, kinuha nila yung mga non-poor students. Nagka-leakage ngayon ng gobyerno ng 8 billion.
I understand, Senator Win. The current guidelines po kasi natin sa ESC no is in the year 2017, and this guideline provided here that shall give preference to graduates of public elementary schools, and then the school committee shall profile and assess the students considered for ESC grants. There is a gap actually in the guidelines as well, Senator. That's why it is also this administration's objective to revise the guidelines specifically to be in line with the law and the spirit of the law, which is really to prioritize or to lean to the poor students, poor learners.
Maybe this is the height of injustice. Humingi tayo ng pera, binibigay natin sa hindi mahihirap. And us as taxpayers, we're subsidizing the non-poor because of that gap that you mentioned. And that gap that you mentioned, the value of that is 8 billion pesos. Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Lem.
If I may, Chairman Win, actually, we check yung mga department orders on GASP program, and yun nga, there's no eligibility criterion as to the household income level, checking the household income level of the family, applying for the ESC and even senior high school voucher program. But in the previous Deped orders from 1992 to 1990, school years 1992 to 1993 and to school years 1997 to 1998, Deped were able to include some sort of criterion about that the overflow students whose family income is not more than 36,000 per annum shall be given preference in the selection of ESC grantees. But in the latter issuances or department orders as to the selection of ESC grantees, it was already removed. That's why the school committees who evaluates the application of the ESC grantees has unbridled discretion as to who will receive ESC, the ESC slots. So even if since there's no criterion that they need to check the income level, so full discretion na sa kanila, even if hindi mahirap, they will give it to students that are not underprivileged. Also, we interviewed some of them na parang ang nangyayari, though ito kasi may testimonial evidence lang, na there are schools na meron di bang elementary schools na in junior high schools na parang automatic na lang nagagawin na lang nilang beneficiary din yung mga private na schools, there are private schools na yung estudyante na nila ng elementary schools will be automatically parang i-apply na nila as ESC grantees for their junior high school. So, mauubusan na ng slot yung ibang interested public elementary high school graduates to enter into the private junior high school when they graduate the elementary school po. So, yun po.
I'll show you, I saw an advertising, slide 30. This is a school. Slide 30. This is from a school, Juan Sumulong Memorial Junior College. And nakasulat dito, good news. Non-ESC students from grades 8 to 10 can now apply for ESC subsidy. So 8 to 10 are existing students, tama? Attorney Tara?
I think that is during the pandemic
No,
Senator?
this is school year 2022-2023. We just got this from the internet.
I think we were able to consider po kasi the request of private schools, Senator Win, because during the pandemic they had a very low very low enrollment.
Okay.
So meron po kaming ang department po nag-issue po ng interim dyan po na for school year nakalimutan ko lang, that's 2 school years po na pwede po silang gamitin po nila yung hindi nila nagamit na mga slots before, gamitin po sa 8 to 10.
But these are existing students already. Nakapasok na sila eh. They're non-ESC. They're existing students already. They're currently students.
Yes.
And they can apply for subsidy.
Yes,
correct?
that's right.
So in other words, nakapasok na sila, Senator Tulfo, sa school. Diba? In a private school. And they can apply for a subsidy. So obviously, I mean, common sense, if they're in the private school, hindi sila in the poor category kasi they can pay the tuition fee. But and yet, they can still apply for additional 9, tawag nga nila, 9,000 tuition discount. Discount, not subsidy, discount.
Mr. Chair, yan sinasabi ko kanina.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sige, yan exactly sinasabi ko na nasa private school na sila and yet sila ay nabibigyan pa rin ng subsidy from the government when they don't obviously belong to what we call poor of the poor. Dapat nga talagang priority natin para sa mga mahihirap. Tulad sinabi nyo kanina. So maganda po yung question nyo, Mr. Chair. Yun yung sinasabi ko rin kanina. Go ahead, Attorney Rama.
Thank you. Yes,
Senwin and Senator Tulfo, no, while we understand really, no, that we should be supporting the poorest of the poor, no, because that really is supposedly what should be prioritized, and this is in the law itself, no. But over time, what we have seen is that the amount of the subsidy at 9,000, 11,000, 13,000 is very small compared to the average tuition fee in the schools, no, and private schools where they will transfer. Therefore, there actually is a top up that the parents will have to pay. That's why earlier when we were saying, bakit may cost efficiency ito, even if the based on GAA cost of a student estimated by ADB was like 21,000 kasi nagdadagdag ang mga magulang dun sa 18,000 na voucher at yung 13,000 na ESC. In other words, as early as I think 2016, no, we were already discussing with Deped, can we do a study of fully rationalizing the amount of the ESC so that we can really ensure that the poorest of the poor can be, can actually transfer to a private school. Obviously, 13,000 in NCR will not be enough. Now, why is it that meron din ganong decision-making ang mga schools? Because they are penalized if they do not have a completion rate of at least 90%. Kasi ang programa, kapag nandyan ka ng 7, tuloy-tuloy yan hanggang 10. At kapag mahirap ka at wala kang ibang support, tulad ng pamasahe, tulad ng pambili ng libro, baka hindi ka rin makatapos ng grade 10. Then your program becomes a failure all over again. Now,
So yung pinupoint kasi ni Senator Win, ma'am, tulad ng sinabi ko na kanina, Ms. Ferrer, nasa private school na sila. So the fact na nasa private school na sila, in-enroll sila na kanilang mga magulang sa private school, ibig sabihin ito mga estudyante, magulang ng mga estudyante ito, can afford na sila. They don't obviously belong to what we call the poorest of the poor. So therefore, bakit pa natin sila bibigyan ng grant? Sana mag-concentrate tayo tulad sinabi ko early on, doon na lang talaga sa mga public schools. Na alam naman natin, karamihan dyan ay talagang mahirap. Sila na yung dapat qualified na mai-transfer sa private school to this grant. Kasi kasama nga dyan yung proof of income of parents guardian, kasama dito sa evaluation ninyo. So ang nangyari, base sa pumunta lang kasi ako sa labas, pagpasok ko, nakita ko na, at nasabi naman kanina, earlier, so yung mga estudyante na nasa private schools na pinag-a-apply at some of them or all of them ay nabibigyan ng grant to move up. Yun yun. So, ang point ko rito from early on, pag nasa private school na sana, baka wag na muna, doon na muna sa public na mga estudyante. Kasi most of these students comes from the what we call poorest of the poor family.
Sen Tulfo, kasama po yan sa magiging rationalizing natin.
Okay.
Kasi right now, hindi nga talaga maka-attract ang isang private school ng isang bata from public kung ibibigay niya 13,000 at ang amount ng tuition and other fees niya 40,000. Yan ang NCR average. Kaya,
Oh, ma'am, ang sinasabi kasi, kung tama pagkaintindi ko, pagdating ko rito, lumabas lang kasi ako, na nasa private school na yung mga bata from grade 1,
Opo.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Pagdating ng 10 to 11, sila ay kina-qualify, ginagawang qualified para makareceive ng grant under the ESC program. Tama? Senator Win, na kung akong tatanungin at si Senator Win, wag na sana. Kasi from the very beginning, sila ay nasa private school na afford nila na igapang yung kanilang mga anak from grade 1 up to grade kung ano man yun sa junior high. So dapat mag-concentrate na lang tayo dun sa mga mahirap na coming from the public school. Na alam na natin from the start, sila nagpa-enroll dun ng mga kaanak nila sa public schools because hindi sila ganun can afford.
Senator Tulfo, naiintindihan ko po ng pinanggagalingan nyo, no? Pero hindi naman exactly kasi consistent ang congestion problem natin dun sa consideration natin in terms of equity. Kasi kung hindi natin sila tatanggapin, yung 65% as of this current school year na galing public, congested naman ang public kung hindi sila kukuhanin ng private.
No, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am. Sorry. Mr. Chair, sorry po. Hindi po eh. Di ba ang purpose nitong program na pinag-usapan natin ngayon is to decongest public schools.
Yes.
So therefore, dapat nakatuon tayo sa public schools para ma-decongest sila, ma-transfer to private.
Opo.
Ang nangyari, base sa narinig ko ngayon, galing na sila sa private,
Opo.
iaangat sila ng level sa same school, and yet they receive that grant na supposed to be para sa mga poor, rest of the poor.
Yes, Sen Tulfo, kasi po hindi mabubuo ng eskwelahan yung slots niya kung hindi siya kukuha sa sarili niyang estudyante na based on income documents nangangailangan din. So siguro ang isang pwede kong sabihin, income documents. Nagsasubmit ho kasi ang mga bata
Ano po yung mga income documents? Ano po yung mga income documents?
IDR and then
Right.
yun ho, sinasabi.
So yung mga magulang po sa public schools, wala rin ba may sasabit naman?
Nagbibigay po sila sa school selection committees nila at the school level. Yun nga lang, hindi ho ganun kadaming public ang talagang willing lumipat kasi maliit lang yung subsidy. Yung eskwelahan ho, meron siyang fixed slot allocation na kapag hindi niya ho ginamit, mawawala sa kanya in the next year, and it will mean the utilization of GASP may even go down. Ito hong nangyari dito sa pandemic. Talagang nawalan ho ng estudyante
in
ang
that case, ma'am,
private.
kung sabi mo hindi enough, then make it enough for the
Correct.
student from the public school na yung subsidy nila enough na para
Tama
i-carry
po.
over up to the next level kung anumang grade sila umangat ng umangat.
Tama po,
Kasi kung
dapat
sabi niya
taas
kulang,
po.
kaya kayo pupunta sa private, mukhang
Kaya nga po,
problema.
asan po natin yung amount ng ESC
You
para
agree?
kung lumipat ang mga public school students at maka-complete sila until grade 10.
Correct.
Kasi
Kasi,
kung
ma'am,
hindi, failed na naman.
Kasi it defeats the purpose of us decongesting public schools para malipat sa private, kayo nagbibigay ng grants sa mga nasa private school na. Di ba?
I understand, ED Doris, with the permission of Senator, I understand, Doris, where you're coming from kasi may fixed slot na eh. Diba? Eh, kailangan nila ibenta yung fixed slot na yon. No, not ibenta, but kailangan nila mag-attract. No? And the way to attract, kailangan nila ibenta. Correct? That's why nga mayroong discount in offer, which I find it really inappropriate because that money should be for the poor. No? It should not be given as a discount to the rich. Do you know where you're coming from? No, but nakita ko yung but that's not a reason to tilt the objective of the law to address the poor first. Parang ang nangyari, hindi natin magastos yung pera, bigyan na lang natin sa mayayaman. Yun ang nangyari. Hindi natin magastos, hindi natin mapuno yung silat, bigay mo lang sa mayayaman as a discount. No? Which I think is morally incorrect. Not only morally incorrect, it's also against the law because the law is very clear, their preference to be given to those earning 72,000 annually. So, And for me, as a taxpayer, lahat naman tayo taxpayer, no? I would rather put my hard-earned taxes to prioritize the poor. Because that's what's, as public servants, we have to practice equity. We have to practice equity.
Kasi parang lumalabas dito, Mr. Chair, parang pinipilit nila magastos, maubos yung pondo. Kasi meron tinatawag na quota. E di, kung ganun pala yung ano natin, para ubusan na ng pondo, lumilitaw na parang nagwawaldas tayo. Kasi going back again to the purpose of the program is para supportan yung mga mahirap natin mga kababayan, mga pamilya ng mga mahirap na estudyante.
Last na lang po, sana rin maging objective ng programa na actually hindi siya nakasulat kasi nauna to, no? ESC really service contracting congestion is support for private. Kasi sa private schools ho, yung misconception na lahat ng nandyan mayaman, hindi ho totoo yan. At ang pangalawa ho, yung mga estudyante na nasa private, pag hindi mo binigyan ng ESC, pwedeng umalis yan sa private pagdating ng junior high kasi nahihirapan din ho sila. So those are the things that we will have to my mind, rationalize.
Chris, ako personally, Senator Tulfo, this is my position. It's irrelevant where the student is coming from, whether public or private. For me, that's irrelevant. Importante poor siya. And importante supported siya by documents. That's what's important for me. But even COA, in the COA report, nakasulat dito, there's no policy. There's no policy to address the poor. Well, it's here in the COA report. Tama ba, Mr. Laliabe?
Yes po.
But there's no policy to address the poor. So that's what's missing. No? That's what's missing. So irrelevant sa akin if it's existing student siya from the private, that's fine. As long as you demonstrate that student is poor. But kasi common sense sa atin, it's common trend that if you're from the public school, poor ka. Most likely poor ka. Most likely. Hindi naman lahat, no? Most likely. No? So that is the benchmark that we are using. No? So Father Delvo, and then we go to Attorney Tara, and then
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, at Senator Rafi. I would like to humbly reiterate, not all schools belonging to Kokopayan Sayap are wealthy, no? At saka mahirap din po ito mga parochial schools po ito, mga mission schools. And then we also have scholars, we're getting scholarship full-time and partial. So ganun din po. And then I agree with both of you that we have to be stricter with regard to determining whether or not our students in private education really deserve and qualified, and for that also. Kaya lang, I would like to reiterate po, we are not all Ateneo, Lasal, Xavier, mga parochial schools po ito, mission schools sa rural areas pa. Yan po ang ikukonsider natin. Thank you. And if I may allowed to add, to lessen the congestion in public schools, I think I suggest we increase the the assistance from government so that they can transfer to the private education. Kasi may tatap up po kami ng konti. Our electricity, air conditioning, ibang mga kwarto. Then the amenities inside the classrooms are better than some of the public schools. So we require some top up. Pag hindi lang kayong top up, hindi na po sila mag-aaral din sa amin.
Mr. Chair, I do agree 100% sa sabi ni Father. Kailan siguro madagdagan pa yung budget. Totally agree ako dyan. Pero kailangan in the name of transparency dumaan sa COA.
Yes, yes.
You agree, Father?
Yes po, 100% po.
Thank you, Father.
Attorney Tara, you're free.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair and Senator Rafi. I would just like to clarify po, no, yung nakita po natin na advertisement ng school. This is in relation to the Deped Order number 12, 2023 that we issued. This is regarding po yung mga approving or allowing the ESC participating schools to bill grades 8 to 10. So, ang sabi po natin doon kanina is that they are already existing. However, I would like to just manifest in this committee, Mr. Chair, that we do have a criteria for accepting doon sa mga grades 8 to 10. So here po in the DepEd order, we said an ESC participating school shall be allowed to have new ESC grantees in the higher grade levels, which is grade 8 to 10, for school year 2022 and 2023 and 2023 to 2024, provided the school has available grade 7 slots. Ito po yung slots na hindi nga po nagamit, Mr. Chair, because hindi po naglipatan po yung mga private school students to public schools actually during the pandemic. So this is our help din po to the learners. Even they were in private schools before, they were heavily affected by the pandemic. So, hindi po natin masasabi na yung pong mga middle class po or hindi naman po mayayaman ay naapektuhan din po during the pandemic. So, here po, in the selection of grantees for the grades 8 to 10, the following prioritization shall be observed. Number 1 is transfer in students from public high schools. So, yung galing po sa public na kasi mga po private tapos ng public po sila. So, we allow them to be grantees. Non-ESC students in the same ESC participating school whose family were significantly affected by the pandemic. So, yun po yung na-mention din po ni Father and ni ED Doris that hindi po lahat ng private schools po ay mayayaman po yung mga estudyante. Actually, again, there are a lot of small schools po na parochial schools outside of the city who are also participating in our grantees po. So, that's to clear lang po yung naging discussion kanina, no, why we allow the grades 8 to 10. And there is in fact a prioritization based on the department order po that we issued.
Currently, is there a strict mandate to prioritize the poor?
I would like to state Senator Win that as to the ESC guidelines, the very latest, there is none. That's in 2017 it was issued. That's why nga po in this administration where the GASO is also newly created, we are working on revising
So
this po.
right now, there's none. Currently, there's
In the ESC po, none po.
that's consistent with the findings of COA.
Yes.
Correct. That's
Correct.
why nga we invited COA to shed light on this issue. So our recommendation, I think this is also the recommendation of Senator Tulfo, is to prioritize the poor. That's it. Let's prioritize the poor.
Yes. Although there is sorry po, Senator Win. Although in the ESC guidelines, there is that, the prioritization of public school grade 6 completers. But specific to the poor and the income of the family, there is none po.
I think we should be more granular because kung sinasabi nyo, there are also poor students in private schools. Maybe in public schools, there are also non-poor students. So let's be as specific as possible.
We will place that in the guidelines po.
Let's be, but the bottom line here is let's stay consistent with the spirit of the law, and also as public servants who practice equity in our country. Let's prioritize the poor. And for me nga, it's irrelevant where they coming from. It's important that we prioritize them because that is we allocate billions of pesos to this program, but 8 billion goes to non-poor. And consistent, it's in COA's report, it's 14 billion ang kanilang report. In our own calculation is 8 billion. So we want to see a revision in your policy and clearly stating that the poor should be prioritized.
Most definitely, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair. Okay, I do agree na merong mga estudyante like what Father said sa mga private schools, yung mga parochial schools na anak ng mga mahirap. On the other hand, meron din ilan dyan sa public schools na hindi naman talaga sila anak na mahirap, kundi may sinabi rin naman, they just prefer public schools. That's why, pagdating sa mga ESC programs, mga grants na binibigyan natin, dapat may nakaset na amount na kung saan masasabing qualified yung isang estudyante. Diba yung nabanggit ka na sa isang batas na dapat 6,000 ang income and below. So dapat meron tayong nakaset na amount for you to be qualified under that program for that grant coming from the ESC at kung ano pang ibang programa ng gobyerno. Sa ngayon, wala ata. Tanggap lang kayo ng tanggap. Paano bang screening ginagawa nyo bago ma-qualify isang estudyante? Tinitingnan nyo ba yung ITR ng magulang ng estudyante? Do you do that?
Yes po. Currently, meron naman po tayo, specifically the senior high school voucher. They submit talaga po yung income na ano po nila so that we will be able to determine if they really need the voucher po, Mr. Senator.
Okay. So in that case, kung nagsasabit kayo ng ITR para sa qualification ng estudyante para makatanggap ng voucher, so dapat maging stricto tayo. Yun din sinasabi ni Senator Win para masiguro at masabi sa kanilang lahat na ito ay pang mahirap lang at priority kay mga mahirap. Kasi naman kung halimbawa kumikita ng 20,000 ng household, isang household o 50,000 and then nabibigyan pa rin ng grant, hindi na tama yun. Mali na yun, yung direction na yun.
Another issue that Go raised with the permission of Senator Tulfo, in this highlights nakasulat dito. However, we observe that Deped has limited data on the program's effects on congestion of public school and does not have adequate and suitable performance indicators. Are we solving congestion through these programs? Do we have evidence saying that these programs indeed alleviate the congested schools? And I'll show you a slide on the congestion, congestion. Junior high school? Yeah, junior high school. So slide 12. If you look at slide, we got this from the Deped, Deped data. Slide to, yan. So, ito, junior high school lang to, junior high school. Sorry, 22 pala. So, in slide 22, 72% of NCR junior high school is considered congested. BARM is considered congested, 71 schools of BARM. And then Region 10, 50% of our schools, 50% of our schools are considered congested. So in other words, if I will be looking at this program, the concentration should be in congested areas. But based on the COA findings, there is no policy study guide as to where the ESC and the voucher program should be implemented. It's parang lumalabas, it's there's no clear guidelines. So do we have a mechanism to address and to tilt these programs to congested areas? Is that also pronounced in your department orders?
Well, obviously, Mr. Chair, it's not in the current guidelines for the GASP, but we will make sure that in the revision that's currently undergoing now, we will put in the guidelines really the concentration of the GASP should really be in the areas where we see the greater percentage of congestion. We have that same data, Mr. Chair, in the report that we submitted to you for elementary school, junior high school, and senior high school, where we showed you the number of congested schools, and as per definition defined as per standards of class sizes by the department, Mr. Chair. So we see really, and we concur with the one that is on the board. For example, if I take into consideration the number of congested classrooms by level and by region, in here we have NCR, for example, we have 345 elementary schools. In junior high school, we have 189, and in senior high school, we have 134 congested classrooms as of 2021-2022 data.
So shouldn't we pour all our resources to those congested areas?
It appears that in all regions there
Because
are.
if the objective is to decongest, shouldn't we put all of our effort to decongest the schools there?
Yes, exactly, Mr. Chair. So if we will put names to the schools, we will be able to identify which schools really are congested, and we will look for private schools that are nearest to the schools, which would be the basis of the slots that will be given
In
for
fact, in the next
certain
slide,
schools. Yeah.
slide
Mr. Chair,
20.
pwede makasingit?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so kasi pinag-usapan natin talaga to decongest public schools at karamihan dyan o malaking portion dyan ay Region 4A, NCR, BARM, etc. Nakita ko dito sa CAR, saka sa Region 1, mukhang hindi sila decongested masyado, okay lang sila. So meron ba kayong programa dyan sa Region 1 at saka sa CAR? Dito sa mga walang problema sa congestion?
Well, these are not congested relatively to, I mean, compared to the other big regions, Senator, dahil sa CAR naman, meron tayong enough number of schools in the different areas, at siguro hindi ganun kataas yung ating population in terms of number of learners.
Kayo ba ay naglalagay ng budget dyan, ng voucher?
Yeah, we do.
Dyan sa CAR?
Yes, we do have voucher program
Sa CAR.
still with the Cordillera Administrative Regions.
Yung sinasabi
Mr.
nga
Senator.
ni Senator Win, mag-concentrate kayo doon sa areas na kung saan mataas yung problema ng congestion. Diba? Doon kayo medyo bubuhos na malaking budget para doon sa voucher program.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Maybe that's what
yes,
you should
Senator.
concentrate. Doon sa mga hindi masyado issue yung congestion, medyo siguro kung bubuhos kayo konting-kunti lang, more doon sa congestion lang ng NCR, BARM na kita mo yung red hanggang sa dulo na. Doon siguro medyo mag-focus na yung budget.
Yes, Mr. Yes, Senator. We will follow the line of thinking of the good chair here, where we will equitably distribute slots depending on the level of congestion of specific regions, or more importantly, specific divisions for that matter, so that we can really target the schools with high congestion, Mr. Chair.
This is a very complicated formula, no? I know what Doris is thinking. It's very complicated to hit the equilibrium between congestion and equity, no? But I'll leave that to the experts. You guys are the experts. You guys are, much more experienced. Find the equilibrium. I know it's going to be tricky and complicated, but the point here is we have very scarce resources. Let's prioritize the poor. Let's remain to our objective. Ito yung IELTS learners na na-mention nyo in slide 23. 32% of our students in Region 4A are considered IELTS learners, meaning literally nag-aaral sila along the aisle, no? Not in a comfortable place. This is at the ratio of 1:43, I think, no? So in other words, if you use 1:43, 319 learners in Region 4A are considered IELTS learners, or hindi sila nasa classroom na 1:43. The same in NCR. So our point, Senator Tulfo and I's point is, let's focus on these areas. If we have limited resources, i-boost natin dyan so that we solve the decongestion. At the same time, the policy is also clear with Deped, with PAYAC, and also with the implementing schools. So we call on Ms. Doris and then Dr. Carol.
Thank you, Senator Gatchalian, for the inputs. Thank you, Senator Tulfo, for the inputs. I will have to leave in a while, but Rod Malonzo will stay, our monitoring and processing unit officer. Thank you for the inputs. No, but just to affirm the tension between ensuring that you solve congestion problems at the same time equity. NCR, for example, the average tuition of junior high schools participating in the ESC in NCR is about 42,000 pesos, and 13,000 as the amount of the ESC is too small. In other words, how many public school students are willing to pay a top-up of 30,000 pesos? In other words, part of the rationalization, aside from congestion, making sure that the congested areas are prioritized, is that we also look at the amount of the subsidy in different regions so that it will be more realistic in the sense and more implementable for a family in a private school to move to the private school, from public to the private school. And then second is the quality issue. Certification is part of the policy, and we've been lauding Deped for putting this in place in the ESC. In other words, you have to be certified or quality assured in order to participate. A lot of schools, for example, in BARM, are having difficulty getting themselves certified because they have difficulty complying with the standards of Deped in offering a junior high school program. Again, we can also do an initiative towards helping them with quality assurance, making them move in the direction of being fully compliant with the minimum standards. In other words, we appreciate this inquiry of the Senate towards rationalizing the GASP program insofar as what exactly do we want to accomplish here, and then how do we allocate the slots and the amount of the subsidy. One last, yung tulong sa private, pwede bang isama sa objectives? Hindi lang mag-decongest tayo ng public, pero paano matutulungan, lalo na yung mga private schools na nangangailangan din naman ng support ang mga estudyante nila. Part of the rationalization can solve that. We can think of percentage shares. Ilan ba ang pwede pang bigyan in private schools ng ESC at ng voucher? Tapos anong eligibility ng mga bata for them to be able to also enjoy this grant from government? Salamat, Sen Gatchalian and Sen Tulfo.
Dr. Carrot?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to also drive home the point that you are making, we prepared a slide that just shows the top congested municipalities in the country. So we found in our analysis using data from Deped and PAYAC that there are 149 municipalities with very congested junior high schools and very few voucher programs. What we're showing to you is the top 30 municipalities, and what we did was to compute the municipality level ratio. So as high as 1 is to 519 in Pandami, Sulu, but also 1 is to 398 in Los Baños, Laguna. What we're also showing here is that there are areas where there are ESC private schools, but there are more private schools that could be tapped to already address the congestion. So we highlighted those in yellow. Tulad ng sinabi po ninyo, Region 4A, talagang maraming ganito, and NCR. So next slide. So in Cainta, Rizal, 1 is to 126. There are only 14 ESC private schools, but there are 40 private schools that could be supported to also get certified and also receive vouchers to reduce congestion in these areas. And also areas like Cordoba, Cebu, Noveleta, Cavite. Next slide. Imus, Cavite. Again, napakarami pong schools. 27 yung ESC private schools, pero 60 yung actual private schools in the area. And the shifting is double, and the ratio is 1 is to 112. So these are 30 municipalities na very granular yung perspective natin. Talagang malala ang congestion. Meron pang capacity ang private, and sana may proactive measures to engage further so that we could already directly address congestion in these communities. But the second point that we wanted to highlight are there are areas also with severe congestion but no private schools. And for these areas, we might need to prioritize that in terms of school building, or we need to explore other forms of engaging private. In our discussions on complementarity with experts from all over the world on public-private partnerships who came here 2 weeks ago, pwede po tayong magbigay ng loans, pwede tayong magbigay ng grants to encourage private to establish in areas na kung matatagalan tayong mag-build ng schools. Kasi malala po talaga yung congestion at sana makahanap tayo ng ibang paraan para matugunan talaga yung pangangailangan ng mga estudyante if we are thinking of further areas of improving legislation. Next slide.
Yeah, so sir po yung makasingit before I go kasi meron pa akong isang meeting. Mr. Chair, nabanggit kanina na yung nagbibigay ng subsidy, voucher, dito sa mga estudyante galing sa public going to private para ma-decongest nga itong public schools are not enough. Kulang. So, kung ganon, paano magiging successful ang programang ito na baka later on, ito mga talagang mahirap, poorest of the poor, 6,000 ang income ng household, hindi na sila magkukontinue kasi sabihin nila, mag-aabono pa kami.
Right.
Samantalang sa private, sa public, hindi na kami gabono. So how do you address that issue? Pangalawa, nasabi nyo, kung minsan meron mga probinsya na gusto nyo tulungan na walang walang private school na paglilipatan. Then, mag-build na lang kayo ng building.
Yes po.
Kaysa pilitin nyo, maghanap kayo ng eskwelahan.
Exactly.
Doon muna sa unang issue, kung kulang pala,
Kung kulang po at may private schools, what PAYAC and Deped can do, can work closely with the private school so that they reach the level of quality that is needed for certification para yung mga estudyante.
Kasi pinag-usapan kanina yung budget. Father nag-agree sa akin na hindi enough kung minsan yung binibigay na subsidy.
Yung subsidy amount.
So kung
Yes.
hindi enough, baka bandang huli, mabibigatan yung mga magulang. Nasa private school kami, wala kaming binabayaran, libre. Pagdating sa private, oo nga, salamat, nasa private school ang anak namin. Pero mag-aabono pa kami. Although pasok sa programa, pero not enough being given to them. Baka umatras din tong estudyante, so hindi na maging successful yung programa nyo. Now, and I need to get data on that. Meron ba mga estudyante na umaatras na nasa loob na ng programang ito, ng ESC, pero later on, umatras dahil nahirapan din sila because it doesn't work for them.
Yeah.
So, do we have data?
Ay, sa PAYAC po yun. Sa PAYAC po yung data. So we will request for data from PAYAC to study. Pero
Para
sir,
makita natin yung success rate. Diba?
yes. Pero yung ano po, yung best practice po on these type of programs around the world is that even if they are disadvantaged, they should have the choice of which school to attend. Ang ibig sabihin ng choice, hindi sila limitado ng dahil may top up, hindi na sila makakapunta sa isang school kung yun yung gusto nilang puntahan na maganda yung kalidad. So when we review either the DepEd policy or in the legislation, how do you actually enable the grantees to exercise choice also para
Correct.
hindi sila slotted into options
Correct.
just because
Yun nga, kung iwasan natin na
So
later,
kailangan pong i-review yun talaga.
yeah, na later on, atras sila, Mr. Chair, dahil hindi na lang kayo ma-afford yun.
Yes.
So, babalik ulit sa public school.
Yes.
Or worse, mag-stop na sila. And I
Yes.
don't want that to happen.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
meron ba tayong record o data pertaining to that na yung mga estudyante na pasok sa PAYAC na nakakatanggap ng voucher from public, lumipat sa private, and then later on, umaatras, huminto na, o bumalik ulit sa public schools, nag-drop out na, meron kayong mga data pertaining to that?
Go ahead.
Yeah, with the permission of the chair. To address the question of Senator Tulfo, yes, we do have data, but we don't have it right now. But if we check the survival rates or completion rates of the ESC program from grade 7, the grade 7 cohort that steps into grade 10, that's about 89.6% of our grade 7 actually reach grade 10 for the ESC program.
So, anong success rate nyo? Parang 89%? Is that what you said?
Yes po. When, in terms of
Sabihin natin
completion,
90%. Okay.
Oo.
So what happens to those 10%? Bakit nag-drop out?
10% we have to check kasi we also get data where they transfer to. Usually kasi they transfer back to public or they transfer to another private junior high school. So that's something that we have to compile first so that we can give you a better picture where they go when they transfer out, or if they do drop out, or if they drop out or transfer out in the middle of school year, where do they go? Where did they go as well? So we can compile that data for the Senate.
So those kind of data and records, kung pwede, bigyan nyo rin ang COA. Is that okay? COA? Magbibigay sila ng mga data from now on?
pahingi din kami tungkol dyan. We'll also request for the data and to analyze. I think I just wanted to underscore your second point, no, Sen. I think napakagandang point nun kasi when we think of our budget for school building programs and where we will build it, sana hindi hiwalay sa pagsa-strategize kung saan yung vouchers. Kasi yun yung paraan para ma-solve yung congestion. Hindi pwedeng dalawang ibang opisina tapos hindi nagko-connect kung saan tayo nagbibigay ng vouchers at saan tayo nagbi-build ng schools. Kasi it should tell us saan urgent kasi walang ibang provider at yun sa ibang may provider, expand ng vouchers, kaya ba? May takers ba doon? At may capacity ba yung private school? So it should go hand in hand para matugunan talaga yung pangailangan ng mga estudyante na talagang IEL learners ng matagal.
Yeah, go ahead, Father.
If I may add, the private education naman willing to go down a bit now with regard to tuition we're requiring our learners so that we can accommodate students coming from public government schools. So we can bring it down a bit, but we request that it be increased also a bit. Hindi masyadong malaki para mag-meet halfway na lang. And then, Mr. Senator, we also have the record of absorptive capacity going beyond just ASC. We have seats available that can be filled in by learners coming from public schools. And for sure, this will be more economical on the part of government rather than pure and simple build and build schools, additional schools for government. Parang ma-absorb siguro po namin yan.
Thank you, Father. BARM was mentioned a few times during the course of the hearing. And actually, to my surprise, BARM is considered one area that is very congested. No? In fact, when I was looking at the data of BARM, the problem there is children are not going to school. No? We saw that the participation rate is very low. But to my surprise, it's not only the participation is very low, schools are also congested. And maybe that's the reason why students are not going to school, because they feel that the schools are congested. So we're joined here by by Director Balawag of the BARM. And any comments to our discussion?
Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. First of all, I would like to extend the apology of our Honorable Minister for not being with us. But he sent us to be part of this committee hearing. And the ministry is with the Honorable Chairperson in this endeavor of proper implementation and monitoring of the GASP. We have seen that the programs were able to help the learners and help us to realize our objectives in passively decongesting or ensuring that in our area, in our region, no Bangsamoro learners will be left behind. There were issues being brought a while ago, and of course with the presentation on screen, that it appears that BARM is also one of the congested regions when it comes to population or learners. Meron lang nabanggit kanina, Honorable Chairperson, gaya yung sabi ni Ma'am that in BARM, if I heard it right, many requirements were not complied. That is why they have challenges on the implementation of the program in the BARM region. Baka po pwede lang malaman natin kung ano yung mga halimbawa na mga requirements. At siguro we will be appealing that kung yung mga requirement ay medyo, kumbaga, alam naman natin yung context in the BARM region, the context of the BARM region ay medyo mahirap nga i-comply, baka may mga alternate doon sa requirement na pwede natin kumbaga maging kung sakali yun ang in compliance so to whatever is the requirement of the beneficiary of the program. Secondly, on the issue of the school building program, we submitted Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Senator Win, our position paper as requested in the invitation last February 23, and part of our position paper is of course our appeal to the government, in particular the Deped Central Office, to of course consider the school building program to include the BARM because apparently and as you see and observe doon sa screen kanina, talagang kami po ay kinakapos or kulang na kulang po yung school building ng ating mga paaralan sa BARM region. So this is our appeal that the BARM region be included in the school building program, as well as the continuity of all other national programs as embodied in the Bangsamoro Organic Law also, that the national program and projects shall be continued shall be continued to be funded by the national government without prejudice to the power of the Bangsamoro government to provide for supplemental funding for such programs and projects. So for the meantime, yan lang muna yung aming initial comment. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Director Balawag. But is it accurate? I saw in the presentation of Dr. Carol, can we flash that merong mga school doon 1:100 plus? Can we flash the presentation from Dr. Carol? The first one, yan. 1:120. Is that per classroom? But what's that ratio? Student per classroom?
Yes, sir. The total number of students and the total number of classrooms for junior high school, and that is the average ratio.
I think that's, is that totoo ba yan? Like for example, in Basilan, in sa Lanao del Sur, Tawi-Tawi, meron pang 1 is 438. In Sulu, one is to 590.
Mr. Chair, on that figure and data, with me is our planning also that maybe could shed light, because we also want to verify the data being presented by PAYAC.
This is from EDCOM.
EDCOM, so that we could have an accurate data possibly. So with the kind permission of the Chair, the planning officer of MBHT is with me to shed light. Yeah. May I call on Sir Jordan Pangilan, please?
Yeah. Like for example, in Sulu, is 1:519.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Jordan Pangilan, sir. Sir, ang tanong ko lang po dito, kung as of kailan po na-extract itong data, kasi per record po namin,
Ang gusto ko lang malaman, is this an accurate picture of the classroom
No, sir.
situation in BARM?
BARM. Actually, no, sir, kasi ang maximum po namin sa BARM is 1:60. Maximum.
Okay. So just send to the committee an updated figure on the ratio. Lahat na rin, no? Student to classroom,
Yes.
teacher to classroom, classrooms, so that our data will be updated.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But this is consistent with what we saw in based on the information from Deped, no? BARM is number 2 in terms of congestion. So in other words, whether this is accurate or not, the BARM area is congested.
Yes, sir.
No? So that is a fact, no, based on the data.
We agree on that, Honorable Chair, and that is the very reason why we earnestly appeal for consideration of the inclusion of the BARM in the national program for school bidding. Thank you very much.
Asek, go ahead. You're raising your hands.
I was just asking if I may be clarified. This ratio would be translated into, like, for example, Sulu 1:519. That would translate to the Sulu the municipality Pandami that has a classroom shortage of 13. If that is how I interpret the ratio.
No, so our computation is the total number of JHS students in the public schools and also the number of available classrooms.
Right. So if it's not really 519 in a single classroom, but that would mean there is a shortage of 13 classrooms in that particular
Some of the
municipality.
students are probably studying under the tree.
Yes.
Or inside the basketball court, or
Maybe the IELTS student
IELTS
could also.
students, no? But definitely there's a shortage.
Oo.
no?
And actually, sir, baka parehas yung data natin kasi this is also from the Deped data.
Yeah.
So maybe it would be good to triangulate it with the BARM data.
Alright. Mr. Lalave, naputol kayo, no? You were narrating your findings. We were, I think the last narration was about the equity side, no? So you can continue with your findings.